All right. Hey, good morning, everybody. I should be speaking with the junior class today. Holy buckets, you guys. You're almost seniors. It's like 25 more wake ups or something crazy like that. So, going to get started. This is intended as a session for you to start thinking about what you're going to need to do in the fall in terms of getting ready for life after high school. Getting ready for life after high school is really an entire senior year activity, which we'll talk about in just a couple minutes. If you have questions, I will be monitoring the chat. So feel free to ask. You could also have your teacher unmute and ask any questions that you might have. So here we go. We're going to talk about just making sure that you have all of the things that you need ready to go when it's time to go, right? So I'm going to talk about that as putting your ducks in a row. If you've not heard that term before, before you're going to do something kind of big and important, you want to make sure your ducks are in a row, right? Like that everything is as it should be, so that as you head forward, you don't have to stop and pause and back up, and you're just ready to go. We'll talk about summer. Summer between junior and senior year is very important. There's a lot of things you can do, and there's some things that you can't. So we'll talk about that. Then we'll talk about what you're planning to do after high school. I would argue that you should have a pretty good idea right now of what you want to do. And if you don't, then I would say you're maybe not trying hard enough. You're not really taking the advisory activities that we're doing to heart, and you're not doing the right steps to make sure that you know what's happening in about a year. And then we'll talk about a timeline of steps that we can help get you where you need to be so that you're ready to go when it's time to go. So should introduce myself first, myself and Miss Chris Berg. I'm Michelle Masnick. I work in the Career Resource Center with Christina Berg. We help students with life after high school plans, whatever those plans might be. That could be I'm enlisting in the military. That could be I'm looking for an ROTC scholarship. That could be I want to go to Harvard. That could be, literally anything. I want to travel or take a gap year. We can help with all of it. So you can find us in the Career Resource Center, which is across from the Media Center. So our first little chunk of information here is going to be talking about your ducks and whether or not they're in a row. So here are some things that you should have already done, already learned, already established. So as a freshman in advisory, you learned about yourself. You took multiple assessments in advisory. You learned what your interests are. You learn what you're good at. You learn that sort of thing. So freshman year, we're learning about ourselves. Sophomore year, last year, you should have researched and learned about different careers that fit who you are, right? I learn about myself, and then I learn about careers that might fit who I am. And hopefully you made some decisions about which career pathways might fit you best. Again, that was last year. This year, now that we have an idea of what career we want to look at, now we're going to research the education that I need in order to do that career, right? A lot of times, you guys, I'm having students come and meet with me senior year and say, I know I want to go to college, but I don't know what I want to major in. And that is just, it's backwards, you guys, it's backwards. You should think about what you want to do as a career, and then you decide what college pathway. Maybe you want to be a plumber, and plumbers don't go to college, right? Maybe you want to be something that requires college, but you haven't done the research, so you don't even know or realize that you could get a 2-year degree instead of a 4-year degree and make just as much money and find a job. So learning about what before you decide where is super duper important. So I'm going to say that one more time. Don't pick the college before you pick the major. You need to pick the major so that you can pick the right college, and you know how long you need to go, and you know what you need to study. And then senior year next year, you're going to put your plan that you've been working on for the last 3 years into action. So we'll talk about what that looks like. So no matter what your plan is, you need to know which steps to complete to make it happen. So again, if you're thinking the military, there's still stuff you have to do. If you're thinking Harvard, there's stuff you have to do. If you're thinking something in between, there's stuff you have to do, right? And there's deadlines and other things that pop up that you need to be ready for. So having said all of that, you have this little gap of 3 months in between the end of your junior year and the beginning of your senior year. So what can you be working on during that time, and what can you not be working on, or it wouldn't make a whole lot of sense? So summer is a great time to get started for certain things, okay? These are the things that you can get started on. Are there summer opportunities or programs that you could attend to learn more about a major or campus of your interest? So for example, almost every college campus in the United States offers summer programming for high school students. So if you think you want to go to Harvard, maybe you introduce yourself to Harvard by attending a summer camp there or a summer course there, specifically designed for high school students. Might cost you a little bit of money, but that would be a great way for you to introduce yourself to Harvard. They know who you are now. You know more about them, and you can really say, yeah, I really do want to go to Harvard. And it's not just because of the name, right? Maybe there's a seminar or something that you want to learn more about at the University of Minnesota. They have tons of information and camps and sessions for high school students. Chris and I are busy posting these on Schoology when we receive them. And then we also keep a running list of these opportunities on our website under learning opportunities. So check that out if you're thinking, yeah, maybe this summer I could, take a couple days and sort of figure out, learn more about the U of M Twin Cities campus, or learn more about Bemidji State University, or learn more about UW-Madison, right? So college applications for the fall of 2026, which is when you will be starting college, do not open until this coming August 1st. So hear me when I say, if you start applying to college today, in June or in July, you are filling out the wrong application. You should not be filling out an application for admission for any college until after August 1st of the year before you graduate, or the year you graduate, right? So if you're going to be a senior in the fall of 2025, you do not want to start completing applications for admission for the fall of 2026 until August 1st. So don't get started too early. You can request transcripts in the summer, but please know that neither Chris nor I work in the summer. I do check my email periodically, but I'm not going to be processing transcripts on August 1st. Maybe I'll pop in there the middle of August. I'm definitely coming back to work the week before school starts, so I will start processing those transcripts then. But if you're looking for a transcript to get sent to your college to complete your application for admission, that probably won't happen until the last week of August, and which will be very early and still early enough for you to be considered early. And finally, I think this is finally, please figure out and know if you need a letter of recommendation for the college that you're applying to, or colleges that you're applying to. And here's why. Kids who ask teachers for letters of recommendation and they don't even need them is very, very mean. Like super mean. So teachers are going to take time out of their time with their family or time to prep for class to write you a letter of recommendation that you don't even need. Like, that's cruel and unusual punishment. Okay. So figure out if you even need them, and then ask for the letter and give them, you guys, so much time to get it done. If you know you're applying to a college in the fall that needs one letter of recommendation from a teacher, how awesome would it be to let that teacher know before summer break so that they can absolutely get it to you when you need it, right? Again, please remember, teachers do not get paid to work in the summer. So if they're not checking email or they're not checking Schoology, then we're going to be okay with that because they're not getting paid to do what you're looking for them to do until the last week of August. Oh, sorry, one more. Begin working on college essays if you have to write a college essay. Not every college requires an essay. Not every college requires a letter of recommendation. Not every college requires a transcript, you guys. So be knowledgeable about what the colleges that you're planning to apply to actually need from you, and you can be starting to work on these sorts of things. And then there are some things that you should not start, okay? Do not do these things in the summer. It's way too early. So you cannot start completing your FAFSA until senior year has already started. So I will be back with you when school starts to talk to you about the FAFSA. So don't even think about financial aid as of yet. You can start looking for scholarships. However, most scholarships are awarded to high school seniors, and there's a scholarship season. So that scholarship season sort of starts in about November and ends in about March. And so you want to be ready to look for scholarships when they start coming out. And that's not this summer. That'll be more into the school year starting next fall. So you can look for scholarships. There's just probably not going to be a whole lot there for you to take advantage of until the school year starts. And then finally, once you know which colleges you will apply to, make sure to look for specific scholarships based on your intended major. So as an example, if I am going to go to Minnesota State University Mankato and major in theater, I know that there is a scholarship for theater majors at Mankato because I've looked at their financial aid website, and what they offer this year is probably exactly what they're going to offer next year. So I can put on a list somewhere that I need to check that once I've applied and been admitted, right? So don't be afraid to sort of do some pre-work and do some forecasting maybe of things that might be available to you, and then keep a running list of what you can be doing proactively to get ready for those opportunities. All right, third chunk of information, here we go. Do you know what specific steps you need to take? So I'm going to run through some examples here, okay? So first example is you want to attend the University of Minnesota Twin Cities and you want to major in biology. You also, on your application for admission, write down that you are eventually planning to go to medical school, okay? So these are the steps that need to take place in order for this plan to come to fruition. You want to apply to the U of M by the early decision deadline of November 1st. Can you be admitted if you apply after November 1st? Yes. Is it harder? Yes. Or more competitive? Yes. So you can do yourself a favor by applying to the U of M Twin Cities, UMD, UW-Madison, kind of those higher tier public schools as early as possible, preferably prior to November 1st. You're going to complete the application. The application consists of who are you, where do you live, how do we get in touch with you, what activities have you been involved in, what organizations do you belong to? Have you had any college credit earned so far? Any awards that you've been offered? There is no essay. There is no requirement for a letter of recommendation. You don't send your transcript. Actually, you enter your transcript into their courses and grades platform, and you pay the application fee. You can complete the FAFSA when it opens, which is, again, probably not until October 1st. So you do all of that work, again, before November 1st. And I've already answered this question. No, I don't need letters of recommendation. If you're applying to St. Thomas, they'll ask for a letter of recommendation. If you're applying to Hamlin or Concordia or McAllister, St. Olaf, any of those private schools are going to be looking for a letter of recommendation, but generally public schools don't need them. Do I need to write any essays at the U of M Twin Cities? The answer is no. There is a section on the Twin Cities application that asks if there's anything you want to share with the reviewer of the application that you haven't already answered in the application. Take that opportunity to share something cool about yourself or, something interesting that you've done that you haven't talked about in the application already. But the U of M Twin Cities does not require any essays. And then apply to a couple of other colleges with biology majors in case you're not admitted to the University of Minnesota Twin Cities. This year's graduating class, the class of 2025, I can think off the top of my head right now of 4 students that I would have said, oh yeah, they're getting into the U, that were waitlisted. So that landscape is changing all the time. I will always give you my very honest opinion about whether or not I think you'll be admitted to a school, but I don't work for that school, and so I don't make the final decision. And there are 4 senior students that I can think of right now that I'm like, wow, I just really can't believe that they didn't get in, and that they're still waitlisted with May 1st, coming right around the corner here, right on 2 days away. So be aware of that. You want to apply to other schools that have that biology major as well. Okay, let's look at another example. Maybe you want to attend Dunwoody and you want to study drafting and design. So you're going to be kind of you'll be working in, it's engineering under their engineering umbrella, but you're going to be drafting blueprints and that sort of thing. So this is a 2-year degree at Dunwoody. So you're going to apply to Dunwoody by October 31st. This is kind of a Michelle Masnick imposed deadline, and here's why. Dunwoody doesn't really have a deadline. I think it's May 1st. So if you want to start in the fall and you're a current senior, you can still apply. But programs have already filled up, and maybe this program that you want to get into is full. And so if you wait to apply, then you're going to put yourself in a situation where your number one choice of school is no longer an option for you because you delayed, right? So procrastination might have gotten you through high school unscathed. College will not be that way. The real world is not that way. So I want every student who's planning to attend any college, whether that be North Hennepin, Dunwoody, University of Minnesota, Yale, I want you to apply by November 1st or by Halloween, right, the day before. There is no deadline for some of these colleges, but the sooner you apply, the sooner you'll be admitted, or you'll know if you've been admitted. And the longer you have to complete the steps that are required to actually confirm your enrollment there. So we're going to try to do things a little bit sooner than the last possible minute during our senior year, okay? You're going to complete the application. You again will complete the FAFSA. You will send your transcript, and you will pay the application fee at Dunwoody. Dunwoody may require a letter of recommendation depending on the major. They may require an essay, again, depending on the major, and most private schools do require either a letter of recommendation and an essay or an essay. So this is the plan. This is the process. And then should I maybe apply to a couple of other colleges just in case? Dunwoody is a private school, so maybe it's a little bit more expensive than another option. So we should be looking at those sorts of things, right? So that's plan number 2, Dunwoody to study drafting and design. Let's look at a third plan. We have 4 total. This is, I want to be a plumber, right? And so your first thought is probably, well, you better apply to that college before November 1st. Well, not you don't go to college necessarily to become a plumber. You apply to an apprenticeship program, or you can apply to a 2-year college that has a plumbing program, like Dunwoody, for example. But you don't have to do that. You can become a plumber, and after 5 years or so of being a plumber, I just want you to know that the average plumber is making about $90,000 a year. So that's more than a teacher. That's more than maybe an IT person with a 4-year degree. And this person potentially didn't go to college at all, right? I would say apply to the apprenticeship program or apply to the college program that you're interested in, again, by Halloween. That's going to be kind of like, we'll think about the spooky time of year as like, I better get my stuff done by the spooky time of year. So you're going to complete the applications. You're going to send transcripts and submit application fees. So that is true of either an apprenticeship opportunity or the college. And then if you're accepted into the apprenticeship program, then you'll schedule a training start date, probably for next summer. If you're admitted to the college, there are some additional steps that you might have to take into consideration before you actually start in the fall of 2026. And then finally, our example number 4 is enlisting in the Marine Corps. So sometimes students are interested in this. Maybe they want to go to college, but they're having a hard time figuring out how to pay for college. And so the military sometimes pops up as an alternative to help pay for college. So we'll talk about this really briefly. You work with a recruiter of any of the military branches to complete the steps, but the steps sort of look like this. You take what's called the ASVAB, which stands for the Armed Services Vocational Aptitude Battery. It's about 16 small tests that show them where you're at academically, where you're at sort of mechanically, and you must score above a 31 in order to enlist. So you might want to take a practice test first, and then you take the actual ASVAB. You take that in the recruiter's office. Then you go to MEPS, which is kind of the physical processing of newly enlisted soldiers. You get a physical evaluation, which they lovingly call the Underwear Olympics. You're kind of running around and they're checking your heart rate, and they're, doing a medical examination and eval to make sure that you are healthy enough to become a soldier. Then you select your duty assignment. So if you are, our example here is the Marines. If you're male, then you'll head off to San Diego. And if you're female, you'll head off to the East Coast to do your 13 weeks of boot camp. And then after that, you'll have some sort of job in the military. So you'll have some additional training based on what your actual duty assignment will be in the Marines or in the Army or Navy or Air Force. And then you sign the paperwork and you select a basic training start date or ship date, and then off you go, right? So lots of information, a little bit overwhelming, I'm not going to lie. A lot of times I hear students say things like, junior year is the worst, man. Like, it's just really, really bad. There's so much going on. It's super hard. I would actually argue that junior year, while it might be the most kind of stressful with the ACT. There's all this testing, right? You did all the MCA stuff, math and science this year, or will be doing it this year. And you're taking kind of rigorous classes. You know that you're trying to do your very best because you're going to be applying to colleges. Senior year is no less difficult academically unless you've chosen not to take certain courses. But I will say there's a lot going on senior year, right? You're applying for scholarships, you're applying to colleges, you're completing your FAFSA, you're maybe still trying to figure out what you want to do after high school. It can feel like a lot. And right now, toward the end of senior year for you next year, students are kind of freaking out a little bit. It's really heavy. Like they're making some decisions about what they're going to be doing next year. And, things might not look exactly how they thought they would look right now. And so that's stressful. So yes, junior year can be stressful. Senior year, it doesn't really let up a whole lot. So if and when you have questions, make sure you're reaching out to your support network, right? Like the CRC can be a part of that. Your advisory teacher can be a part of that. The admin here can be a part of that. Your counselor. Just reach out when you need some assistance with stuff. So we'll talk about kind of what you can do to sort of stay organized. This is an example of, let's say somebody's applying to 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 or 9 or 10 or, God forbid, like 25 colleges. You need a way to sort of manage what you've done, what you still need to do, that sort of thing. So you can create just a Google sheet where you can keep track of here's where I've applied, here's when I applied, here's all the stuff I've already sent in, here's when I expect to hear back, here's how much it costs, right? And this can be just kind of a running tool that you use throughout senior year to just make sure you know where you're at, right? And what still needs to be done and, what you've already done. So that's one example. Or you could use something that, as simple as this college application worksheet. You can Google any of this stuff and multiple things will pop up. So figure out a way to sort of keep yourself organized, right? So it can be paper, it can be digital. It doesn't really matter as long as you are maintaining some sort of tool that's going to help you through this process senior year. You want to make sure that you're listing all the important dates and steps in the process. And everybody, please hear me on this. In the real world, outside of the walls of Osseo Senior High, if you miss a deadline, you've missed an opportunity. Deadlines in the real world actually exist and they matter. So if you're thinking, well, my teacher lets me turn stuff in late all the time. I have, an accommodation that gives me extended time on stuff. That's great. Love that for you. Your boss at your job is not going to take late stuff. You're just not going to work there anymore. So figure out what's causing the lateness and let's fix it before you head off to the real world and fall flat on your face because we let you turn stuff in late, right? This work that you're doing now, this summer, this coming fall, this is not wasted time. It's not extra things that you're having to do. This process will make the decision easier. Having all of your stuff together and organized in one place will be super helpful as you're navigating through senior year. So June 2026 is when y'all graduate. It will literally be here before you know it. And the CRC just wants to make sure that you are prepared. If you're not where you should be right now, if you don't really know what you want to do in the fall, you're not really sure if you're going to apply to college, you don't really know anything about the military, you really haven't invested in this advisory process to this point, it's not too late, but I will say it's getting there, right? It's getting to be too late. So do your best to figure out. I mean, you guys, I should not care more about your future than you do. And sometimes, if I'm being super honest, it kind of feels like I do. And that's it's an icky feeling for me. I want you to care about your future, and I want you to be prepared, and I want you to be super successful. And I can't do that by myself. You have to be a partner in that. So if and when you have questions, please visit the CRC. We want nothing more than your ultimate success. And again, we can't do that without you. So let us know when you need help, when you need assistance, when you have questions, because that's what we're here for. So I will stay on till the end of advisory. I did record this, so I will have that link available if you're interested. Please let me know if you have any questions, and have a really good day.